Over the past week, I participated in the 10th Brackeys Game Jam. This was my third time participating in this jam, and I had a lot of fun making my previous entries. So I was really excited to join in. The theme voted by the community was Diving Deeper. I decided to make a game inspired by Subnautica, where you can explore the ocean. But I needed to find a cool mechanic. Then I remembered Pokémon Snap, and I also found this old mobile game where you take pictures of fish. Cool, I have my game idea! So to sum up, I will make a first-person game where the player dives into the ocean to take pictures, several levels of depth, an oxygen capacity you can upgrade to go deeper, and, of course, lots of fish. I only have a week, so let's get to it. Stick around to see the process to go from this to this. Starting with Unity's terrain tool, I crafted diverse underwater zones, each with its unique depth and charm. It was intuitive and quite satisfying to shape a world like this. Then I created a shader for the water with reflection, refraction, and depth-based coloration. It was my first time using shader graphs in Unity, but I'm quite used to shaders with Blender, and it was actually quite similar. I ran into some weird issue with the refraction coming from above the surface, but I quickly found a solution by creating a mask to isolate the water from the rest of the scene. There, problem solved. After that, I played around with the normal maps to create waves, and this is the final result. So relaxing. Next, I wanted to add some cool lighting, and for that I downloaded a free pack of skyboxes from the asset store. It had a lot of sky textures to play with, and this beach already looks pretty cool. Currently, when you dive into the ocean, it doesn't really look like you're underwater, because, well, you can't really see any water. So, time to add some post-processing. I added some bloom, I played around with the channel mixer, lift gamma gain and white balance parameters, I reduced the depth of field, and finally I added some film grain and some vignette effects. I made 3 different post-processing profiles and I made them local. So now, the deeper you go, the more intense the post-process is. Then I needed to add fish. I mean, a lot of fish. I started to follow a Blender tutorial to model a low poly fish, but I kind of sucked at it. And I wanted to make like a dozen different species. How can this guy do it in 10 minutes? Time to take drastic decisions. Now I have fish. I used the decimate modifier to reduce the amount of vertices by around 80%, because with hundreds of fish in the scene I wanted to optimize things. Plus, you can't really see details underwater. Time to think about moving the fish. So, the fish follow what is called a flocking behavior, and it's also used to describe how birds are flying together. This behavior can easily be reproduced, and basically, there are 3 easy rules to follow. Cohesion, alignment, and separation. As a result, they swim together, aligning their movements, staying close to their peers, and avoiding collisions. It was a bit tricky to adjust all the distance parameters to get a good result, but I think this looks pretty convincing. I created some zones for the fish to evolve in, and now my ocean looks more alive. Just one more detail, let's do some animation. Rigging the models was really easy thanks to the fish having a quite simple body, and in a matter of minutes I had swimming fish all around my ocean. Hey, they don't look dead anymore! Okay, now let's look at the oxygen system. The first thing I added was some indicator for the player to know how much oxygen he had left and how deep he was diving. I also linked the depth to how quickly the oxygen was decreasing, because that's really how it is in real life. The next crucial step for this game was the actual gameplay, that is to say, the photography system. It was actually the trickiest thing to implement in my game, and I spent quite a lot of time struggling over this. Basically, taking a picture and displaying the texture on the screen was really easy to do, but then I needed to know which fish were actually in the picture. I decided to first use the onBecameVisible and onBecameInvisible functions of Unity to check which fish were inside the camera's field of view. Then, I drew a raycast towards each of these potential targets to check for eventual obstacles between the fish and the camera. And then I only had to convert the world position to the screen position to check whether a fish was inside the frame. Now I can implement a scoring system based on the distance from the camera, as well as how rare the fish is and how many fish are on the picture. The last thing I did was to create a second camera without post-processing to display the true colors of the fish when the player takes a picture. For the UI, I also created a quick tutorial to explain how to play the game. An in-game tutorial is not mandatory, especially for a game jam, but I had some time left and I think it really adds something to the game. Plus, this was a perfect occasion to test an asset I had, the text animator, to create some nice text effects. For the main menu, I simply took my main scene, added some trees, some UI buttons, I implemented the basics to control the volume, as well as an option to skip the tutorial, and that was basically it. At this point, the jam was nearly over and I was really tired, so time to make a build. But I quickly found that the WebGL version of my game didn't really work in some browsers, and I didn't know how to fix it. Well, so much for that. It's finally over, and I can go to sleep. Then it was time to play some games! There were a lot of submissions for this jam, and I looked forward to trying out as many as I could. But this is for another video. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see my results for this jam, and to follow my game dev journey. See you next time!